My name's Melissa Todd and I'm a sex worker. I've been a sex worker now for 26 years, doing absolutely everything in the sex industry. Started stripping and lap dancing, moving through into porn, domination and everything in between, absolutely everything you can imagine. And I imagine I will die doing the exact same thing. I can't imagine anything will change. And I've loved every second. My book is called My Body is My Business. It's out on November the 16th. It's a fictionalised account of my time in the sex industry, starting from the very beginning, how it came to be. But as I say, it is fictionalised. So Clara, which is the name I have used when I was stripping and working as a dominatrix, isn't me. She's much more interesting and more adventurous, but her experiences are chiefly mine. Just her reaction to them is often a little bit different. But it takes you from her initial decision to enter the sex industry, the problems she faced, the advice she received, and her absolute assurance that you get out of it in the end, which never in fact happens, because once you're in, it's very, very hard to get out. Over the course of my career, I've seen attitudes to sex workers shift in a way that I don't like. So when it started, it was mid-90s sort of lad culture. It was a bit fun, a bit of harmless jollity. But increasingly, particularly over the last 10 years, I think, sex workers have been vilified, have been treated as the reason for many of society's ills, while also being seen as victims and passive and or hilarious. But either way, they're never really seen as real people who are allowed to tell their stories. They're talked over and they're talked about. No one ever really talks to them. So I felt very strongly that given I am eloquent and able to write, and able also to show my face, which so many sex workers aren't, all my family and friends know what I do, so it's no big deal for me. It was the time to write a book, write about everything I've been through, and how much I've enjoyed it, how much of a lark it's been. That's really important. It's a joyous book because it's been a joyous life. With COVID, I suppose, there were lots and lots of articles in the press about how sex workers were all going to starve to death, which I found terribly irritating, as if we weren't used to just coping on our own terms and surviving and not being provided for by the state. And, you know, all my fellow sex workers, including me, just changed up everything we did. We didn't just drop dead. We, we moved online. We started on OnlyFans. We wrote more. We did custom films that we could film ourselves. We did online sessions. And it just seemed to me that they were seen as a problem to be solved, or sex work in general was just, you know, an inconvenience for everyone, something that needed to be dealt with. Rather than just people living their lives, people with families. I'm always particularly irritated when sex workers are mentioned in the press. You always get a picture of a woman bending over a car. Nobody's done that since the 80s. You know, if you're a prostitute, you're on adult work. You know, it's all done online now, but we still are dealing with these ancient stereotypes that bear absolutely no relation to the real world. So I felt it my duty, honestly, to put another side of the story out there. I'd say perhaps 90% of the book is autobiographical. Anything that's going to annoy my family is definitely made up, I promise. All the sort of the background, the past, everything she went through to get to where she is today, that is all true. All the stuff about, you know, lap dancing at the windmill, doing stripograms, my first time in a porn shoot, that's all absolutely true. But the stuff she's dealing with now isn't so much true. She's been a lot less careful than me with money. I've always been very concerned about being secure and safe. I put all the money I've made into property. She hasn't done that, so now she finds herself 45 and uncertain quite where she got to and what she wants to do next, which is a circumstance I think that some women do find themselves in, having spent their life in the sex trade. But it just isn't true that men only want to see women of 19, size 6 with pneumatic tits and bleached blonde hair. This is a job for everyone. You know, I'm, say, 45 now, probably could lose a stone in weight, but I'm still making a living by taking my pants off, which is magnificent. Who knew you could just take your pants off now and then and just have everything you ever wanted? It's magnificent. Why are people so down on it? It's bizarre. There is a lot of really good advice in my book for people who are considering sex work. I always say if I had a daughter, sadly I only have a son, but I would definitely encourage her into sex work. I think there is a lot of valuable stuff in there about exactly how to get started, where to advertise, any possible pitfalls. And it's never the pitfalls people think. You know, you're very likely to be safe. You're much more likely to be bored, actually, but ways to deal with that.